आ गए चीता इंडिया में. Hello and welcome. I'm Pooja Shali bringing you this special presentation telecast from the Kuno National Park in Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh. This is now the home of the cheetahs coming in from Africa. 8 new cheetahs have found their home. And India says, Namaste cheetah.
Big ghar wapsi for cheetahs. Historic translocation of carnivore cats. 8 cheetahs get new home in India. Hunted to extinction, cheetahs return.
17 September 2022, a historic day as cheetahs return to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his birthday released 8 cheetahs and also gave a message of spirituality, sustainability and sensitivity. Here's a special report about what the Saturday morning looked like for Madhya Pradesh, for India, for wildlife conservation, because animal lovers are waiting with bated breath to see how this first world's ever intercontinental translocation of cheetah project works out in India.
Cheetahs are back in India. 8 big cats from Namibia have found their new home. It's a new dawn for the world's fastest land animal. Hunted to extinction in 1952, the world's fastest cat returned to India after 70 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on his 72nd birthday, released the cats in Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park. Donning a dark brown hat and armed with a camera, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the first to capture and celebrate the return of the cheetahs.
सदियों पुरानी जो कड़ी टूट गई थी, विलुप्त हो गई थी, आज हमें उसे फिर से जोड़ने का मौका मिला है. आज भारत की धरती पर चीता लौट आए हैं.
The carnivore cats were flown from Namibia to Gwalior in a customized Boeing 747-700 Jumbo Jet. They were then transported to the Kuno National Park on board Indian Air Force Chinook helicopters.
मैं हमारे मित्र देश नामीबिया और वहां की सरकार का भी धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिनके सहयोग से दशकों बाद चीते भारत की धरती पर वापस लौटे हैं.
The big cats will be quarantined for a month before being moved to a larger enclosure.
मैं आज आपसे सभी देशवासियों से एक आग्रह भी करना चाहता हूं. कूनो नेशनल पार्क में छोड़े गए चीतों को देखने के लिए देशवासियों को कुछ महीने का धैर्य दिखाना होगा, इंतजार करना होगा, सहयोग करना होगा.
Radio collars have been strapped on the cheetahs to be monitored through satellite. There is a dedicated monitoring team responsible for every cheetah, and this team will track their movements round the clock.
कूनो नेशनल पार्क में जब चीता फिर से दौड़ेंगे तो यहां का ग्रासलैंड इकोसिस्टम फिर से रिस्टोर होगा, बायोडायवर्सिटी और बढ़ेगी. आने वाले दिनों में यहां इको टूरिज्म भी बढ़ेगा.
There is a lot riding on this project. Will it be a rebirth for cheetah in India, or is this messing with nature? The Prime Minister insists the return of the cheetah is a big step towards wildlife conservation in the country.
कि जब प्रकृति और पर्यावरण का संरक्षण होता है तो हमारा भविष्य भी सुरक्षित होता है, विकास और समृद्धि के रास्ते भी खुलते हैं.
With the return of the cheetah, India will hear the growls and the purrs once again.
For this massive project, a specially customized aircraft, Boeing 747, a jumbo jet for the 8 cheetahs to have a smooth journey from Namibia, a 10-hour-long air flight into India, and then from Gwalior, Indian Air Force's Chinook aircraft ensured that there is a smooth shift and alighting at the Kuno National Park here. For Shiopur, this is perhaps a moment that they have long waited for. What does it mean as the mission was undertaken between two governments, the best of the best amid both, and then the cheetahs have arrived here in the Kuno National Park.
आ गए चीते 8 African cheetahs, 5 female and 3 male from Namibia have a new home in India. They are part of the first of its kind transcontinental mission to repopulate India. Cheetahs became extinct in India in 1952. 7 decades later, they are back. The cheetahs reached Gwalior on Saturday morning after undertaking a 10-hour journey from Windhoek, Namibia. They were flown to their new home, Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. The aircraft bringing the cheetahs to India was modified to allow cages to be secured in the main cabin. Vets had full access to the cats during the 10-hour flight. The 8 cheetahs, ranging from 2.5 to 6 years of age, are expected to undergo stress, lose weight and get disoriented. That also reduces their fitness for the wild. They will now be kept in the boma, an African word for a specially designed enclosure, for a month. In the boma, carefully arranged prime cuts of small game of cheetahs have been introduced for these prime feline guests to hunt without competition. This is expected to restore some of their spirit. After a month of acclimatization, the radio-collared cheetahs will be moved to a bigger enclosure before being released into the wild in another couple of months.
This project is not something that is going to just be over as soon as we bring the cats there. It's a very, very long-term project. We're looking at probably not seeing results for 5 to 10 years. So it is very, very long, and just because we're bringing them there now, our work is just beginning.
75 साल से चीता लगभग विलुप्त हो गया था। पूरे एशिया महाद्वीप में कहीं भी चीता नहीं है। कूनो सेंचुरी में चीते का आना इस क्षेत्र की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी बल प्रदान करेगा, टूरिज्म को भी बढ़ाएगा और रोजगार के अवसर भी खड़े होंगे।
This is the first batch. India is about to sign an MOU with South Africa, and a batch of 12 cheetahs are being prepared for translocation in October. With Pooja Shali in Shiopur, Bureau Report, India Today.
Minutes after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech after releasing the cheetahs, a political fight broke out. Jairam Ramesh said all of this by the Prime Minister is a tamasha. It actually was a project, according to the Congress party, that started in 2010 when Jairam Ramesh, as a former Union Minister of Forest and Environment, went to Africa to select the cheetahs and conceive this cheetah inauguration project. Listen in now to how this political fight has broken out, and here's hoping that our netas stop bickering and get together to revive ecology and revive economy. A special report.
A new cat is on the prowl in India. 8 cheetahs have been released into the wild by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The big cats are back over 7 decades after they became extinct in India.
ये दुर्भाग्य रहा कि हमने 1952 में चीतों को देश से विलुप्त तो घोषित कर दिया, लेकिन उनके पुनर्वास के लिए दशकों तक कोई सार्थक प्रयास नहीं हुआ.
The historic event has become another political flashpoint, with the Congress party claiming credit for the project. Former Union Minister Jairam Ramesh called it a tamasha orchestrated by the Prime Minister. Jairam Ramesh was the Environment Minister in the UPA regime and claimed that the cheetah project dated back to his visit to Cape Town in April 2010 and was yet another diversion from pressing national issues.
आपने ट्वीट किया है कि भारत जोड़ो यात्रा सक्सेसफुल हो रहा है और उसी से अटेंशन हटाने के लिए आज चीता जो है उनको
चीता नहीं, पहले कंटेनर, बाद में टी शर्ट, बाद में विवेकानंदा रॉक मेमोरियल पर झूठ की रानी का टिप्पणी आया, अभी चीता रीइंट्रोडक्शन. देखिए रोज कुछ ना कुछ हेडलाइन मैनेजमेंट हो रहा है.
The cheetah translocation story began in 2009. It ran into hostile turf almost right away. In 2013, persuaded by the naysayers, the Supreme Court put a halt on it. In 2017, the National Tiger Conservation Authority sought a clarification, and it was only in January 2020 that the then Chief Justice of India, Sharad Bobde, gave it a final go-ahead. Bureau Report, India Today.
This project comes with its own challenges. The cheetahs are not good at man-to-animal conflict or even an animal-to-animal conflict, and therefore, for this translocation initiative to succeed, what will happen to the prey base, to the loss of habitat, and then with regard to a national park surroundings outside of which there are villages? Take a look at this special report to understand what does it mean for the 8 cheetahs to survive in the Kuno National Park, and what will it mean for ecology and perhaps the man and animal living together.
Vulnerable and critically endangered. The world's fastest land mammal is set to arrive at the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. But the relocation from Namibia in southern Africa to India, where they became extinct 70 years ago, is fraught with challenge. Experts involved in the project agree the reintroduction of the large carnivore to its natural habitat is a longer-term effort.
Possibly could have, and once the cats arrive, they will go into holding bomas that are there in Kuno, which will also be where they'll be staying for the next month during their quarantine there in India as well.
Sleek, meant for speed as high as 74 miles an hour, ducking and diving like an athlete, cheetahs are delicate animals though. Animals which avoid conflict. They may have confronted lions and leopards back in Namibia, but in Kuno, the guests won't be welcomed graciously by competing predators. Like wolves, striped hyenas and sloth bears, not to mention the resident leopards in the Indian habitat, which can very well chase away cheetahs or worse, make a meal of them. And don't forget the tigers ranging in from Ranthambore, just 80-odd miles away. Dietary shift poses another challenge. In Namibia, the cats would go for the small game, bringing the impalas on their banquet table. Not a risk-free venture for them in Kuno that offers bigger praise in the buffet, and that explains why the cheetahs will be radio-collared in their new homes.
They are satellite collars and VHF, and so the collars actually have batteries in them that allow them to actually be tracked via satellite, and so we'll be able to follow where they are at all.
Cheetahs are highly adaptable. They have survived and thrived in deserts, grasslands and mountains in southern Africa. International experts extending all assistance they can to the rangers on the ground in Kuno to help the cats adapt.
These cheetahs would much prefer to have wild game than they would to have livestock. And so a lot of it is just for them to adapt to their new area, different sights, different sounds, and find their way around. And that's something that we will be assisting them with the researchers and the rangers on the ground to monitor them very, very closely for the country and for the people around Kuno.
A major experiment in cheetah conservation, a project whose success relies heavily on space, prey and less human interference in their new home. With Ashutosh Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi celebrated his 72nd birthday, this time in the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh, and that welcoming the 8 cheetahs. But in the past few years, Narendra Modi has ensured that during his tenure as the Prime Minister, he remains close to nature. Here, we tried to compile the past few instances and initiatives by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to focus on environment conservation. Take a look at this special report.
It was his 69th birthday on September 17th of 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released a basket of colourful butterflies at a butterfly park in Gujarat. He named the saffron-coloured plain tiger butterfly as the state butterfly. That day he also visited a cactus garden and the Ekta nursery near the Statue of Unity in Gujarat. A month before that, he was featured in the episode of Man vs. Wild. The Prime Minister braved the rain and cold in the jungles of Jumbo Jet National Park in Uttarakhand with famous survivalist anchor Bear Grylls for Discovery Channel's long series.
प्रकृति के साथ प्रेम करके कैसे जीना, प्रकृति का एक्सप्लॉयटेशन न करना, जितना मनुष्य के हक में है उतना ही जीना.
He walked through the wild, took a ride on a cold river in a makeshift boat and spoke at length with Bear Grylls. Prime Minister Modi championed his commitment for conservation of nature and cleanliness. The host called the Prime Minister a great sport.
Prime Minister is a good sport. Well done.
I'm a massive fan of India for many years, since I first went to the country aged 18, So for me to be able to go back and take such an iconic global leader, like Prime Minister Modi on an adventure into the wild was a real privilege.
3 years later, the Prime Minister is all set to renew his vow to nature with the release of cheetahs in the Kuno National Park on his birthday. Independent India started to work on the project to bring cheetahs back to the land in 1970 with Prime Minister Indira Gandhi at the helm. It took India half a century to realize that dream under Narendra Damodar Das Modi. Bureau Report, India Today.
That is all in our special telecast, and as I bid goodbye from the Kuno National Park, I do hope that we are documenting just the beginning, that the 8 cheetahs will survive and thrive and India becomes a home to the cheetahs. And importantly, about the Shiopur area, otherwise backward, it now becomes a reason for their development and livelihood and infrastructure, because when the man and the animal can coexist and together grow, that will be the real success of this cheetah introduction project in India. Thank you so much for watching. Signing off with Himanshu Sharma, I'm Pooja Shali in Madhya Pradesh for India Today.